Hi, I'm Tom Pollock, author of The City Sun and The Glass Republic, and welcome to the London of the Skyscraper Throne. Welcome to St Paul's Cathedral in London, the so-called parish church of the British Empire, and pretty much the most overexposed landmark in the city. Christopher Wren building behind me is actually the fifth St Paul's, because it was destroyed 4 times in the late 7th century, in the 10th century, in the 11th century, and then famously in 1666 in the Great Fire of London. And every time it was rebuilt, it was the biggest construction program in the history of the city, with thousands upon thousands of labourers involved. What better place to make the home of the god of demolition and construction than that? Once I let her go. I had to. A trail led through the St Paul's construction sites, past the cathedral, right under the claw-like shadows of Reach's cranes. Reach, the crane king. Even I can't trespass on his territory. I swear I could feel his metal-strutted fingers stretching out to claim me, even as I turned to run. I don't know when I first started to notice the cranes on the horizon. They are kind of a constant, brooding presence there now. One of the things that surprised me about the reaction to the first book was that I kept getting emails from people telling me that I'd given them a phobia of cranes. And like the first 5 or 10, I was quite smug about that. I was like, yes, score, emotional response. And then like after that I started to think about it. I thought, actually, if that's true, that's really terrible. So behind me is the Shard, London's tallest and spikiest building. But the thing that really struck me about it was the name, the Shard, short for the Shard of Glass. In the world of the Skyscraper Throne, it's the senatorial palace in London under glass, the city behind the mirrors. And in its heart is the Gouttiere engine, a device that can grant one person a year perfect beauty, which, in a city made entirely out of reflections and images, is something pretty much anyone will kill for. There were no lights on in the northern side of the Shard. The glass that ought to have covered the side of the enormous skyscraper was no longer there. When Pen looked through the space it had left, she didn't see exposed, empty office cubicles. She saw distant, rippling towers, some of which were still on fire. She saw London under glass. Now we're here at Waterloo Station, London's busiest central rail terminus, with more than 90 million people going in and out every year. There was no wreckage, no twisted, smoking, white-hot steel. The trains were above her. She was lying on the tracks and they were 40 feet above her. Their front carriages were rearing up off the rails like snakes and they were fighting. So London is one of the strangest, most fascinating and most macabre cities on the planet. When you're looking for an urban space that will really resonate with a new mythology, I can't think of anywhere better. Just endless bells. How very appealing.